This manhwa, it's really popular. I'd argue it's probably the most popular of all time. If you guys do not know what I'm talking about, I am talking about Solo Leveling. I never read it before. I was waiting for the anime to drop, and the reason why I'm making this video is because the anime version dropped recently. I saw episode 1 the day it released, and I will say it was pretty darn good. It was so good, in fact, well, I kind of finished the series already. How was I able to read all 200 chapters in such a short amount of time? Well, it's simple. I don't have a life. And now that I'm saying that, I kind of instantly regret it. I won't say exactly how long it took me to finish the series because that's a little bit embarrassing, but if you guys want to do the math yourself, you can. I saw episode 1 the day it dropped. I started reading the series on Sunday and I finished it on Saturday, so if you want to do the math, you certainly can. Today, I decided I would like to do a loose review on Solo Leveling, just talking about the different things that I liked and what I disliked about it and whether or not I thought it was worth the hype. But if you guys enjoy regular anime content like this, make sure you guys like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell so you guys never saw a new video. With that away, my name is Potential Unleashed, and let's see if Solo Leveling was worth the hype. I think it's fitting that I start this video by talking about Sung Jin-woo because he's the main character of the story and the focal point of Solo Leveling. A lot of times, at least for me, when it comes to anime that have a really broken main character, it's a double-edged sword, and this is because on one hand, you get to see this character, how broken they are, how easily they're able to defeat their opponents, and most of the time it looks really cool. However, on the flip side, their fights, they have a lot less tension because we expect them to finish and complete the fight with ease, and I think a really good example of this is One Punch Man. It's probably why I consider this a good but not great series, not because the series is not enjoyable, but at some point seeing Saitama defeat every opponent with ease is a little bit redundant, repetitive, and boring. I will say though, Solo Leveling, it's a little bit different, and I think it's because of Sung Jin-woo as a main character. I'm actually not mad at the fact that he's ridiculously broken, because seeing him as an E-rank hunter and how he suffered so much, his father was missing, his mother was hospitalized, his sister had to go to school, they were broke, he was weak. I think that after all the adversity that he battered, everything that he sacrificed, he deserved to be the strongest hunter in the world and the monarch of shadows 100%. And it's not like he was just bestowed this power and it happened overnight. Nah, he went through different dungeons, he worked his ass off, he trained, and he deserves this power. I do like the fact that after he gained this immense power, deep down he was still him. He never said that he was a saint, but at the same time, he's not a supervillain. Obviously, there were some physical, emotional, and psychological changes, but he still lived by his principles and what he believed was right. I think a lot of people who believe that if characters do a complete 180, that's good character development. I think it depends, but for me, I personally think that can be lazy writing. So for me, I prefer a character who sticks with what they believe in and that they only change in flashes depending on the circumstance. I wanted to talk a little bit about my favorite moments that Jin-woo had in Solo Leveling, and I think that it's perfect because I can also give an example for what I previously just stated. There are plenty great moments throughout this manhwa, but there are only 4 that I really want to highlight. The first one is about the assembly. He is there to represent South Korea, and the other hunters, they were talking about his father, whether or not he was the person that killed Christopher Reeve. I think that this is one of the coldest lines that he has in this entire manhwa, because as they are talking to him, he says that if his father's a beast, it's his job as a hunter to hunt down this beast. However, if he's my father, I'll hunt down any hunters, even if that means I'll have all the hunters against me. I ain't gonna lie, I was shook, my jaw dropped. I was sitting here, I was like, when this line happened, I was like, oh my gosh, that's one of the hardest lines I've ever heard. Because when you really think about it, he's able to defeat all these individuals on his own, so who's left to stop him? Even if you had all the strongest hunters around the world try and jump him, he was still considerably stronger than them. The fact that you're that confident enough in your strength to say that with all these other hunters in the room with you, it's crazy. But like I mentioned, even though he's someone with all this broken strength, deep down he's still him, and he still values his family and friends above everyone else. The moment that Jin-woo went against Beru, who at this time was the king ant, I was reading the chapter when the other S hunters, they were struggling, and then all of a sudden he said exchange. And the reason why I remember this so vividly is because that was the last chapter I could read before I go to work, and I was pissed off about it. But besides that, when Jinwoo stood up against the Ant King and asked, "Are you the king?" it kind of reminded me of Escanor versus Estarossa.
それがこの私、傲慢の罪、ライオン神のエスカノール。
How Escanor was like, well, why the heck would I be scared of someone inferior to me? Now circling back to solo leveling, seeing what the Ant King could do to the other S hunters, and the fact that Jinwoo was able to low diff him, that just shows how broken he is. The fight against Thomas Andre, it was good, but that wasn't the best part to me. I think it was the situation. Wang Dong-so, he captured Jinwoo, who, by the way, for him not snitching, he's a real one. But when Jinwoo, when he pulled up and then he started whooping up on Dong-so, and then Thomas Andre, he pulled up trying to resolve the situation peacefully and was like, "Hey, do you know who I am?" And then Jinwoo looked at him, he was like, "Bitch, do you know who I am? It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter how you feel
who you are. I'ma still whoop your ass." And it's not like Thomas Andre was some weakling. He was a national level hunter. And Jinwoo, like I said, he is so broken it didn't even matter. He just treated him like a ragdoll, like he was a toy, and ended up destroying him. The last moment that stood out to me was Jinwoo versus Goto Ryuji. And this is because Ryuji, he was feeling himself a little bit too much. He was talking a lot of smack just for the fight to get ended early, and the only reason why that happened was because if they didn't step in, then he potentially was going to be killed by Jinwoo, which later we found out that he actually suffered fear for the first time. I'm kind of glad that he died to the King Ant later, because low-key this dude was a scumbag. I talked about a lot of stuff that I liked in the beginning, and in this portion I want to talk about a little bit of what I wasn't the biggest fan of. The series, it had a total of 200 chapters, with about the last 30 or so being the epilogue. I do feel like the author, that they made Jinwoo a little bit too strong too quickly. If you look back throughout the series, I believe around chapter 40 is when he ended up defeating Icarus, which that's about 25% of the way through. He also became on the same level as the other S hunters around that same time as well. And before the Jeju raid, he was clear cut above everyone else, and that's around the halfway point through the story. Personally, I think that the story could have been a little bit longer, or they could have made it some way that Jinwoo wasn't as strong as he was throughout the beginning. The story's main focus is Jinwoo. They make plenty of references about the word solo and highlight that he's going to be doing most of the things on his own, which is what the author was going for, and I believe that they definitely hit that mark. However, I still believe, even though they were going for the solo-like feel, that they still could have gotten more characters involved. Like I said, I understand what he was going for, and I definitely think that he delivered, but I definitely wasn't the biggest fan of it, because I like my series to have a lot of interesting characters and for them to be very diverse, which is why series like One Piece, like Jujutsu Kaisen, and others I love, because other characters are just as interesting as the main character. And for solo leveling, I feel like it was kind of just the Jinwoo show, which is cool, I will say, but only to a certain degree. I would have loved to see more hunters in action and actually have really cool fight scenes, because the little that we did see, I enjoyed a lot. Characters like Thomas Andre, Baek Young-ho, Choi Jong-in, and Chae, let's talk about her. Do I think that her and Jinwoo's relationship was forced? No, you could definitely tell they were going to be each other the moment that they interacted. Was it rushed? I'd say a little bit, and the author did try to flesh it out more in the epilogue, but you could still feel like their connection could have been fleshed out more in the actual story. I don't think you guys understand how much love people have for this series. Every year people were praying that this manhwa got an anime adaptation, and it finally happened. And so far, I'd say that the adaptation has been great, and I'm looking forward to what they're going to do when it comes to animating the rest of the series. Do I believe that solo leveling lived up to the hype? I definitely think so. I mean, I finished the series in a week. Is it in my top 10? No. Is it in my top 20? Probably not, but I still think that this is a fantastic series. And eventually, I'll read it again and again as time goes on. If I had to give it a rating out of 10, it would probably be 8.5 out of 10. I thoroughly enjoyed it. Let me know how you guys feel about solo leveling in the comment section below. Thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Hit the notification bell so you guys never miss out a new video. Follow me on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. It's on the screen and in the description below. Thank you guys so much for watching, and don't forget to unleash your potential.